Welcome to your reading. So, bottom of the deck we have the Death card. So, something's ending, and something perhaps that is needed to end for some time. Something that could have been kind of old and needs to change. We'll do a little bit like a deeper dive and see if we can find out what this is that's changing, what this is that's ending. We have Judgment. Death and Judgment. This could be something's ending and then something is coming up for some sort of renewal. There could have been some sort of unfairness or some kind of discrimination perhaps, or some sort of things that were happening that were going without being acknowledged, that were unfair or that were against certain things, that because something's ending, the situation's being like vetted, like the situation's being checked over, and the person or people involved are being maybe investigated. Maybe something has been looked into further. Could be because it's like somebody wants to know why something happened, or they want to understand what that was. So if it's not happening anymore, then people can look through it because it's not currently happening. So people can go and get information about it, or they can go and sort of turn things over and maybe see what the situation was really about and understand that. And then as part of that, because something is ended, it could be something for someone that ended. Someone maybe was going through something or was put through something, and that isn't happening anymore. And it could be people are sort of wanting to see the root cause of that. There's a Nine of Wands in reverse. So there's no need to defend oneself. I feel like this is somebody who is maybe went through something or was put through something in a certain way, and there's being some sort of vindication on their behalf. Like they are being seen for not necessarily the situation that they were in as that is who they are, but it's something that they were experiencing. So this is who they are actually. With the Nine of Wands is that this person doesn't feel they have to defend themselves or anything, because they know they're not. It's like this person knows what they were going through, what it was, or they became aware of what it was, and they could perhaps even change something about themselves or change something about it. They could have just stopped participating in it. I'm not really sure exactly, but with that Nine of Wands in reverse is that they're not feeling like they need to be on guard as much as they need to be like ready for a fight all the time, because they know they were not they were in receipt of something. They weren't participating in it. They were in receipt of something unfair, or they were in receipt of some sort of situation that they weren't really able to do anything about for some time. So they're not like, they're just kind of doing their own thing. They're not really like defending themselves at all. There's no reason to. Three of Wands. Yeah, they're not defending themselves because what are they doing? They're gathering their action forward. They're how do you say it? They are where they are in their life, and they're looking forward to something else in their life. They're looking outward towards the future, and they're going, okay, so what can I do with where I am now? And that's I'm not really sure if that says anything about what this person was experiencing, or the fact that they were experiencing something and they no longer are. Either no longer experiencing it, or they're no longer experiencing it in the same way. So now they're in a position to sort of know where they are and know where they could possibly be in the future. And that means like connecting with outside individuals or situations that were not part of said thing, and connecting with them and making plans with them and gauging what is possible. And sometimes that's sometimes that's waiting, and sometimes that's doing constructive work towards it. I think it's kind of both. connecting and doing some sort of situation like networking. And then also waiting for the right opportunity to do something. Two of Pentacles. And while they're doing that, they are in the Two of Pentacles. They're stable. Their money is good. They have the ability to balance their finances. They can pay for this and do this. They're not struggling as much as maybe they had at a certain point. Or they're not struggling at all. Like they may not necessarily have the Nine of Pentacles at this point. Or they may just be focusing on making those proper situations right because they want to move forward. So they have to do that. That's part of it. And if this had been some sort of situation where someone was sort of unable to move forward from something, this Death card and Judgment is sort of in a way showing me that this is no longer an entrapment situation. This is no longer... It may sort of sometimes appear to be, but it isn't. The reality is this person has the freedom to make their decisions and move forward. And if they don't put themselves the Nine of Wands, they most likely won't end up in any more situations because they're not going to be ready for a fight or defending themselves, so then they won't be caught into anything. They're just looking forward and balancing their money. Yeah. Eight of Wands, and then there's some very fast energy. That something is moving forward very, very quickly. Or this is an opportunity to advance very, very quickly. And I think that has to do with the Nine of Wands in reverse, because if a person isn't focusing on overly protecting themselves, or they aren't caught up in the wounds that they went through, like they could have some kind of trauma from the situation, and they're not caught up in that. They're just thinking that the movement forward is the best option to look to. They're not ruminating on it or doing anything to end themselves in a situation where they feel they can't move forward. So then they get an opportunity to move forward quite quickly, or something moves forward quite quickly on their behalf. And the Ten of Swords is in reverse. Yeah, so they can move forward quite quickly because they are ready for that. They're ready to move forward quite quickly. They don't. There's no reason to be hanging around in that Nine of Wands waiting for something to happen. If they no longer want the thing to happen that has been happening, they have to change their behavior towards the thing, because whatever that thing is, they might not necessarily have control over that. But they may only just have control of how they react to it or how they perceive themselves within it. Which can be a bit of a jump sometimes if it's quite a traumatic situation. So the rapid movement forward prevents them, this person, from experiencing an insane amount of betrayal and an insane amount of could be verbal attacks or mental attacks from themselves and from other people, like other people's abuse, other people's words and communications towards them would betray them and abuse them and end them up in that trap sensation. But they're moving forward quickly, or something's moving forward quickly on their behalf, which takes them away from that. So then they're avoiding that. If there is an attempt to do that, they're not really there, either physically or mentally, to really receive it, because their mind is elsewhere. Their mind's in the future, or they are doing whatever it was they're doing, whatever it is they're doing. So they're not really there to experience that feeling of betrayal. And they're not going to experience a huge ending from other people coming at them with words and negative thoughts about them, and sort of communicating towards them that they don't want them to move on. It's not going to do that. It's not going to do that to them. They're going to have some sort of protection. This is going to provide them some sort of protection from other people wanting them to have a bad problem that ends them up paralyzed in some sort of way, not able to move on, not able to build a future. Which could have actually been what was happening. This Ten of Swords in reverse could have been in the upright in the past, and it could have been in the past. This person kept having this happen to them over and over and over, and now that's ending because they're changing their reaction to it. Or it could just be they're having their participation in it or their involvement in it be seen as for what it is, not what it would prefer to be seen as by other people that were participating in that Ten of Swords and then acting as if. So there is some fairness in this situation, or there's some understanding of the reality in this situation. So that also protects that individual from succumbing. And whatever it is that they're doing, it doesn't be ended with that sort of action. So there's a Four of Pentacles in reverse. There's something about not being careful with money, or not being super duper obsessed with every little dollar, where every little dollar is going. So I'm not sure if this is this individual or this is someone else that's experiencing this thing where they don't necessarily always think about where their money's going. Not sure. We'll have to see. Temperance. I think this is someone else. I think this Four of Pentacles in reverse is someone else. Someone else's reaction to their attempts upon someone else not really landing the way they wanted it to land, or the way it used to land, and the stress of them not being able to manipulate the situation against this individual maybe makes them spend too much money. They could have this kind of stress, and they could overspend to sort of compensate for feeling like they can't win in that situation against this individual. While this other person is, the one that this reading's about for the most part is in the Temperance energy. They're calm. They're fine. Everything's good in their life. Like, everything's actually good in their life. That's the thing. It was external, from what I can see here, it was external influence that were causing some sort of issue. And that things are perhaps changing, and those external issues and the external influences don't really have as much power as they perhaps once did. We got the Three of Pentacles on the upright. Temperance to the Three of Pentacles. So this individual is not getting sucked in by someone else's issues, and it really turns out that other people's issues had to do with their own problems, and they're ending up not really being able to control their finances as well as they perhaps would like to be seen as being able to do, where they don't have as much money as they'd like to, and they perhaps overspend in order to compensate for that feeling of lack of power over someone else. So they kind of mess themselves up a bit. And with this other individual here in that Temperance, they have the ability to connect to people in that Three of Pentacles, which is kind of where they were going in that Three of Wands, I think. So they can share their knowledge and share their experience and learn from other people who have knowledge in the field that they're involved in. They can collaborate on projects, and they can make contributions to something that other people will enjoy and other people will learn from, and they can benefit from it financially and materially, which is amazing. And on the bottom of the deck, once again, the Devil's in reverse. So this individual here is totally fine. If there was any issues with being entrapped or experiencing some sort of issue with being controlled or being out of control in their life when it comes to anything to do with anything the devil has involved in, addiction, compulsion, abuse, it's not happening in their life. It could have been something that they were experiencing at a certain point, but now it's no longer something that they deal with on a daily basis. We have the Knight of Pentacles here. So the Knight of Pentacles represents someone who is slow and steady, methodical, detail-oriented, oriented. They like the process of work. They really like what they do. Everything is like they check off everything. They don't miss details. They check off this and they do that and they go over it several times. And they're very professional. And they don't rush things. Like I said, they do it slow to make sure it's done right.